My name is Courtney Colson, a female to male to female detransitioner, and on this channel we try to figure out what the hell's wrong with me. Clearly today there's something a little bit wrong with me, a little bit different, a little more fuller figured, as you can see. And that's possibly a third false pregnancy. Since detransitioning, I haven't heard anyone else experience this, but since detransitioning, my hormones have just been doing some weird things. I mean, I've had all the blood tests and everything seemed normal, but when I first detransitioned, for about 3 months, I was just bloated, and I got bigger and bigger and bigger. My waist is normally 70 centimeters. This is 80, about 80, 82. And I can put a photo here. When I had my first false pregnancy, I got up to 92 centimeters. So it was like 22 centimeters bigger. It was huge. It was just so painful. And thankfully I don't have any stretch marks. I can show you there. And it's just so solid. I could sort of suck it in, but it's still sticking out a lot. There's not a lot of difference there. And you sort of can't really move around much because it's just solid. And in some cases, I'm surprised, a false pregnancy or a phantom pregnancy can just be psychological. And I don't know if that's the case for me because I wasn't thinking about having children the first time I fell false pregnant. And well, after I started physically changing, there were a lot of hormonal changes, and so I did go a little baby crazy. But yeah, so I've dealt with bloating a lot since transitioning. I never had issues with it before, but after taking testosterone, dealt with bloating a lot. And I mean, a lot of it was just dietary, so once I changed that cleared up a lot of those issues. But I mean, I've been eating pretty clean, nothing that I'm intolerant to or whatever, and I've just, expanded out like this. And that first time it happened when I detransitioned, I just went, oh, well, that's normal, I deal with bloating all the time. But then my boobs got a lot bigger, I started lactating, it was just, I was basically going through all the aspects of pregnancy without actually giving birth to a child. And it is a freaky thing to go through. And I watch a lot of horror and science fiction, so I'm thinking, am I actually pregnant? And I didn't actually go to a doctor at the time. I kind of regret that, because having some medical evidence of, this is what detransitioning does to you. It's very unusual in my case. I couldn't just take testosterone. I had to take birth control as well, because I just kept menstruating. So to stop that, I had to take both. And then I just suddenly stopped both at the same time. And in hindsight, maybe that wasn't a good idea. And I haven't had a full-on intense false pregnancy like that again. It was 3 months of just continually getting bigger. I was putting on weight. I put on 8 kilos. And I mean, I don't think everything in my belly was weight. I mean, fat. It was just, I don't know. They say it's gas and fluid and all that. And that was a really difficult time because I was kind of having to sneak out of the house so the neighbors wouldn't see me. I didn't catch up with any friends or my family or anything during that time because I was so ashamed. And now I'm making a video for the entire internet to see. And I think that's important, though. At first I was very embarrassed and ashamed, because I think social media and stuff especially conditions us to only show the best and the most perfect version of your reality. But I think it's really important to talk about this. If there's someone else out there who is thinking of detransition or has detransitioned and has experienced this, having that knowledge that someone else has gone through this, and that maybe it could be avoidable if you just slowly come off your medications. I mean, I don't even know if that's the cause, or if it's just because I was taking all those medications, that's just permanently ruined me. I don't know. So the first time it happened was in October of last year. Then I had another one around June or July, and that was only about a month 3-4 weeks, and didn't have all the other, I wasn't lactating, but yeah, like that baby crazy instinct definitely kicks in. Breasts were bigger and more sensitive, and then it just passes. I don't get it. And I was about this size the second time around. So this is the third time around, and I've just recently posted the photos of my first false pregnancy on Instagram, which of course I kept private all this time. But now I think, now that I'm going through the process of a lawsuit and also a class action lawsuit against my doctors, against the medical system for their mistreatment of someone who's never diagnosed with gender dysphoria. So I feel like, why am I keeping this to myself? This is a terrible thing, and it disrupts my life. I can't really hide it. I mean, obviously today I'm wearing a tighter shirt so you can see what's going on here, but even with something looser, you can tell that I'm bigger than I normally am. So yeah, I'm just uncomfortable. It's hard to eat, because that just makes me even bigger. It's hard to focus because you're just so uncomfortable. I don't feel like I get a lot of work done when I'm going through this, because it's just, I'm so aware. It's like when any other issue, like if you have like a little blister in your mouth and you just keep touching that over and over again, or if you burn your tongue, like, it doesn't ever leave your mind. You just, I've got cramps and I'm very uncomfortable, and especially when I'm out in public, people can see that. And if I get big enough, people will assume that I am pregnant and will treat me differently, which is very strange. I get on a bus and people give me a seat, or they ask me when it's due and all that, and I tend to just play along. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, no, this is just bloating because I took cross-sex hormones for no good reason. Like, that's a long story. I'm just like, August, like whatever. So this here might just be bloating, fingers crossed, but it's been going on for days now. It's abnormally large, and it's that real solid feeling. It's hard to describe, but it's not like normal bloating where it's just the muscles relaxing. It's a heaviness. I don't have lactation or anything, but the boobs feel bigger and heavier again. So yeah, I think it might be a false pregnancy. No idea how long it's going to go on for. I mean, one time it lasted 3 months. So at least now that I'm public about it, I'm not so worried about having to explain myself. But yeah, I didn't go to a doctor that first time, or even the second time, because I just don't trust doctors anymore. I've been so mistreated, and I did mention it to one of them after the fact, and I said, what is that about? Do you know what causes that? And they said, oh, yeah, it just happens and it passes and it's no big deal. It's nothing to worry about. Well, it did pass, and then it came back possibly 2 more times. And it could continue to happen and disrupt my life. And it's just an incredibly embarrassing issue. And I know it has nothing to do with what I'm eating, because I haven't changed anything. I have a very, very strict diet, so nothing like that has changed. So yeah, it's hormones. It has to be. And if anyone else has experienced this due to transitioning or detransitioning, I'd love to know that. I think there must be some kind of connection there. The strangest thing is the psychological changes, because it is this hormonal thing. And then your hormones think, oh, I am pregnant, I'm expecting a baby, you get very clucky. So I don't freak out as much as I think I might normally. When it happened, especially the first time, and I didn't know what was happening, it was like it was a part of my brain that just went, oh no, you're pregnant. And I just sort of accepted it, and I'm like, okay. And I hear that from the psychological cases. There's one of Dr. Phil, quite famous, like she was very buried in her delusion, I guess. And she was quite adamant. But I can understand how you get that way, especially for someone who really wanted kids and was expecting to fall pregnant. Yeah, I obviously wasn't. I'm a lesbian, so that would be a freaking miracle. And hadn't been trying to fall pregnant anyway, so the changes that were happening to me, I could kind of just go, oh, well, yeah, this is probably related to detransitioning. But yeah, there is a part of your brain that just goes, oh, I'm preparing to have a child. And so I wasn't as freaked out about it as maybe I should have been. I was just accepting it as, oh yeah, this is happening. And even right now, yeah, I consciously know logically that, yeah, this is awkward, uncomfortable, embarrassing, gross. But there's part of me that just goes, oh no, I am just actually pregnant. This is natural. Yeah, hormones are a wild thing. And I had to become very aware of that, the difference between logical brain and the monkey brain, and they can have two very different thoughts at the same time. I think ovulation maybe triggers it, because it always happens during ovulation. It's worse during ovulation, so it has to be a hormonal thing. But I believe that's everything. But it blows my mind that it can be brought on psychologically, though, that your brain is so convinced that it's pregnant that the body starts behaving as if it's pregnant. How does that work? And I mean, that could be a factor for me. It's not like I was thinking about it, it just happens at random. But because there's a possibility of it being psychological, you can't help but blame yourself and go, well, did I think my way into this? I don't know. But I believe that's everything I can say about false pregnancies. This is very impromptu. I didn't even put on a full face of makeup. I just pulled my hair back and threw some clothes on because I just realized, okay, this has been going on for a few days. I look visibly pregnant right now, so maybe I should film that so that people know this is real, this happens. Let's investigate this and figure out why it happens and if it happens to other people. Until next time, see you, Space Cowboys.